guys, Dandelion Song here. I found a few more connections having to do with Orion, the Great Pyramids, the three Great Pyramids, frankincense, gold, and myrrh. This connection, this study came from a Marty Leeds video where he finds that using the pi, what I call the pi or menorah gematria, and he calls it the English gematria, that Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka add up to 52, which is the angles of the bottom of the Great Pyramid. So that would be 2 of those. Stars times 2 equals frankincense, gold, and myrrh, gifts of the 3 stars. Gifts of the 3 stars times 1. Now, so the gifts of the 3 stars is a 76, adding with the pi menorah gematria. I'll show you this. If this is your first video with me, I did a whole, I have a playlist introducing this. I got this from the Pi and the Alphabet book by Marty Leeds. It's a great book if you can afford it, or if you're looking for something smart to give as a Christmas gift. That's really an amazing book, even for somebody who's never ever thought about waking up before. I don't know, I think it would appeal to people who like math and who have rational minds, even if they haven't thought about codes before. Could be wrong, but anyway, I like it. So he, okay, so he relates these, and what I wanted to say is, I don't know, he doesn't talk about where he got this from. Some people have made up their own, or decoded or back algorithm their own ciphers. This one is so historic, and it's also, it's basically a skull and bones, you know, picture. This is how they sit in their picture. So I think that this is really a, you know, long time Illuminati insider cipher. Probably not too insider, otherwise he wouldn't share it with us. But he doesn't say where he got it. He doesn't say that he made it up himself either. So, but he calls it the English gematria. I call it pi menorah gematria. He has a Android calculator that you can get. I don't have a smartphone, so I wish I could get that, but I don't have a smartphone, so I have to do it by hand. Well, what I noticed, so he shows that this 52nd number, which I have told you is the magician number. This is the person who can collapse the quantum wave. That's what I believe this symbolizes when we see it pop up in regular everyday codes. If it's a, you know, dark code, then it's probably a dark magician. But it's someone who knows, who intentionally collapses the code, collapses the quantum wave. This could be somebody who prays, right? That's what that symbolizes. And it's interesting that it equals all these names in the menorah gematria, or the menorah of the pi. Okay, so then we have 76. Now everybody knows, well, especially if you've been watching my channel, you know the meaning of 76. It's on the, it has to do with consciousness, and that's why we have 76, the spirit of 76 in our gas stations, because gas is oil, oil is consciousness. It's all symbolic. And this has to do, originally, I believe that it comes from the Epic of Gilgamesh, where the code is that the 6 is of the field and the 7 is of the astral, and what they're talking about is freedom before you die. And because it's at the top of the pyramid, it's also talking about the all-seeing eye, or your pineal gland. Now, just because this is a pyramid, and because of the dark satanic Illuminati use this, you know, to be satanic with, doesn't mean that this symbolism is originally bad. We always have to be aware. We can't be naive and just believe what the dark Illuminati is telling you. If the dark Illuminati is showing you that it's bad, you have to look around that corner and say, why are they showing you that? Because they don't want you to understand. They don't want you to look any closer. They just want you to go, oh, that's satanic. Oh, no, numbers are satanic. Oh, dear, pyramids are satanic. And then you go and run and hide under a pillow. And then you never find out who wrote your Bible or what Amen means, because you didn't study anything. Well, what I did here, the reason why I turned the camera on is because I was thinking, well, there must be something in the simple gematria, because I mostly use the simple gematria, and I like to find the bridge between the simple, this is the simple, and the pi or the menorah gematria. So this is the, these are the 3 stars, and it adds up to 139 on the tack. Yeah, I don't know if I want to bring you all these specifics. Like, I think I told you this, but now I can't remember if I did. Al-Natak equals Barack Obama. Al-Nalam equals Bin Laden. You know, there's so much of this symbolism in here, and I want to go into all that with you. Mintaka is 69. Al-Natak is 68. And Al-Nalam is 62. All right, well, I went back and checked my numbers. It's a good thing I did, because I missed some things. I wanted to make sure I got it right. So these add up to 199, and frankincense adds up to 119. And this is, of course, an important, very, very important detail, that it's a 911. And not only that, but over here in the Jewish gematria, it's a 329. So these are, of course, related, as we have seen through the calendar. 923 and 911, and perhaps this is Tishrei, and this is an equivalent to, maybe that's a calendar equivalent to, I'm not very familiar with the Hebrew calendar. This number, there's a few things in here just in frankincense I do want to get to, that I added all this up in what I found. So what I wanted to find, so I want to tell you about frankincense, but I want to tell you also about this equals the structure of the Great Pyramid in the menorah gematria, but there is also a correlation of 199. If you do 199 as if 199 equaled 52. Okay, I wrote it here. So say it's just symbolic of that, of these bottom angles of the pyramid. 199 is just a symbolic of that. So if you multiplied it by 2 and then you added it to this top angle, which amazingly enough equals 239. Do you see this? This is the 329 in frankincense. You add frankincense, gold, and myrrh. This is the frankincense right here. I'm sorry about my writing, you guys. This is the gold, and this is the myrrh. And then it adds to 239. This equals Roman eagle. Now this here is simple gematria. Not golden eagle. Roman eagle equals 239 in the Jewish gematria. Well, say, I like to try to find these bridges between these things, because I feel like it gives us insight. So if this has to do with the angles of the Great Pyramid, this would have to do with the angles of the Great Pyramid too. So what I want to see is what we can learn about that. So if we add all these angles up, which this is just a symbolic angle, right? You get this, right? It's symbolic of 52. So we could find the ratio, that what we would multiply that by that would make it equal 52, and that might be useful. But first of all, before we do that, let me just, I'm drawing through the phone. Okay, so this is the 239 up here. This is the golden eagle, and that makes sense, right? That they would have the golden, why do I keep saying that? The Roman eagle. Why would they have the Roman eagle at the top of the pyramid? That makes sense. Especially if you look at the ancient Toltec religion, where they believe that the eagle is the source of all emanations. The eagle bestows consciousness, and then when you die, the eagle ingests you again, and that would be returning to the light. And then you do a cycle, and you become food for the eagle. And this is why God equals 26. I don't know what eagle equals, but anyway, eat also equals 26. This is why we have an eat, a mouth, and a river symbolism having to do with God, because the Freemasons don't tell you this, but I think that God is an eagle, from a type of religion from Atlantis. I think they had maybe 2 major religions back then. and it's hard to say which one was darker, which one was light. I'm gonna say that it's just hard to say. I think we just need to try to withhold judgment on that. Well, so if we treat this equation, so if we add 2 of these 129s and 1 plus 239, which is the Roman eagle, then we get 637, which if you divide that by 3.5388, you'll end up with the correct angles of inner angle addition of the triangle. So this is all the stars of the Orion in the pi gematria added together, and this is all of the frankincense, gold, and myrrh of the pi gematria added together. The equals, the angles of the Great Pyramid, and equals how a triangle should add up to 180. So we're just looking at this relationship. Well, because this number, to fit this into this relationship, of course, this number is going to be important, and it turns out to be. This sign here of Isis, of the twisted loop, is 3.5 turns. Kundalini is 3.5 turns. Skull and Bones equals 35. Illuminati equals 35 in the Menorah Gematria. Let's go back to the 35 page that we talked about. 15 equals 35. Let me see if I can find the twist. Oh yeah, so this, according to Marty Leeds, and he might have learned this from the academics. And so anything that the academics say, I take with a grain of salt, right? Because they tell you that all these giant pharaohs have the name basket. They have that this means basket, and that's in their name. And I think that's a load of hooey. So I'm not saying that Marty Leeds is intentionally wrong, but if he learned it from the academics, it could be wrong. So he says that this is their lowercase h of Egypt, and it has 3.5 turns, and this is their uppercase h, which is basically a phi spiral that has a square in it. You could also see that as a maze. As long as we're talking about 35s and 3.5s, we need to notice that in the Menorah Gematria, which is, I already showed it to you, so I'll just give it, okay, that this is a 3 and that is a 5. So this is how central this symbolism is. So I wanted to review that with you, these 35s, okay? I was thinking about bringing that up again, but let's save that for later. Okay, so I showed you this. Now, okay, let's go a little step further here. Now, if we take, so if we divide by this, which would be the lowercase h, now h is in the Menorah Gematria, is a 6. And in the simple gematria, it's an 8. It has a lot of interesting symbolism on its own. I believe it symbolizes the infinite loop of time, which is the idea of the Roman eagle, where you are reabsorbed into the eagle, and then you are again bestowed consciousness from the eagle. This is this reminds me of that movie Jupiter Ascending, where the House of Brassix, I forget what his name is, he says, I create life, you know, and I consume. Life is an act of consumption, eating. And in that movie, I've been thinking about that movie lately. The House of Brassix is an idea of head or cabbage, headhunters. They bottle a human product, which buys time for the gods, basically. Now, what's been on my mind lately about this is that I've been thinking about all the holistic doctors that have been dying. And Professor Doom has been talking about that the whole idea of they're dying because they've been saving people's lives with GCMAF. I don't know if I wrote this right, but this is a human protein that you're supposed to have in your body. God gave it to you. In the first place, it's supposed to be yours. And what happens is when you get a vaccine or you vaccinate your child, inside of that vaccine has a specific virus that is especially like a little death missile for this protein. Now this protein protects you against all illnesses, and it can directly kill, you know, most of the things that people die from. In fact, they found that this cures autism and cancer, 80% of cancers. And anyway, the main doctors that have been dying, they have been illegally giving this to people. Now, how could this be illegal? Because it's already inside your body. Well, most people have damaged forms of this in their body. I am getting back to Jupiter ascending because this is going to tie into Jupiter ascending. So hold on for a minute and follow me here. So you can find this in raw milk, which is illegal. You could find this in other raw things that have basically animal protein in it, which is similar. But what they were doing was they were giving people a small amount of their own, of something that they have a divine right to anyway. Now, most people are brainwashed. I put this on my Facebook, and the zombies popped up to say, that's a pharmaceutical. It just has a pharmaceutical name. It's actually a protein that you were born with. You're supposed to have this. It belongs to you. It happens to be a cure-all. And it's probably a fountain of youth. Okay? I have a theory that that most people are fighting 20 or more low-grade viral infections at all times, and that causes aging. If you were not fighting, if you did not have parasites, and you did not ingest toxins, and you were not constantly fighting a viral battle, I don't think that you would age, actually. I think that's actually a lie, that you would naturally age. So we humans naturally grow a cure-all. We have a cure-all within our body. So say you were farming a planet, going back to the Jupiter ascending idea. Say you were farming a planet and you had a bunch of people who naturally had a bunch of GCMAF in their body. And say you had humans are special because we are quantum collapsers. We can wish for something, we can pray for something, and then it happens. Because we are divinely connected through divine fractality to this matrix, to this creation that we live in. Fractality. Oh, sorry. So say you have an adaptive species, and say that this GCMAF is very expensive on the galactic market. How would you increase the GCMAF potential within your livestock? You will stress them out. You will put a stress on them to cause them to grow more of this. Right? So how would you do that? You will vaccinate them, causing people who can't adapt will die. The children will develop autism, they will die, or they'll be unable to, you know, have their own household and create their own offspring, because they do not have the DNA that can handle this, virus. I believe this is a double targeted virus. Not only does it target people who are unable to adapt within one lifetime, you get many lifetimes to adapt. So what will happen is that spirit who dies or doesn't reproduce will come back and reincarnate into a spirit, into a body or DNA line that did reproduce. So, and then each generation will have their own quantum collapse of what they wish, which is they wish to survive. They wish to have healthy children. So they will manifest that in their DNA. So you can put pressure on a livestock generation to increase the GCMAF. Now, this livestock will then be more valuable on the black galactic market than a livestock that didn't have any stress, because this is basically a super breed. And if you then say transfer some of them to another environment where you don't put the pressure on, you take the pressure off, these people are going to be superhuman. In fact, even the ones who are still dealing with the vaccinations are going to be superhuman compared to the other ones, because they have come through the evolution. So now you have bred a livestock, then you squeeze and you make the juice that they have in Jupiter ascending. Each human is going to make a more powerful solution than they would have before. So I know this is very dark, but you have to think about the practicality. If you think they are just killing us for the fun of it, because they want less of us, there's easier ways to do it than to create a specific virus that specifically kills GCMAF. So I've been thinking about that lately. So that goes back to Jupiter ascending, where the character House of Brassic's character there says, life is an act of consumption. That's basically the Roman eagle talking. Which is the bestower of all consciousness and the reaper of all consciousness. That's the light at the end of the tunnel when you go back. Well, now, if you've read the Carlos Castaneda books, Don Juan talks about saving your energy. You don't waste it in frivolous emotions, opinions, judging, wasting time on television, sex, sports, or anything that the common man wastes his energy on. You save your energy, and you will eventually have enough energy to combine all of your emanations that you have within your cocoon. Like if you look at a human from an energy point of view, it's like an energy cocoon. Eventually you can combine and alert all of these emanations at once, and then you can move to total freedom. You're again using your quantum collapse. You're wishing for total freedom, you're finding the way to total freedom, and then what Don Juan says is you will fly around the eagle. And you will not be eaten again by the eagle. Being eaten by the eagle is the death of the common man. So that's very interesting. I don't know if you've read these books. They were New York Times bestsellers, and they're considered to be very foundational New Age thought books. Toltec is a real thing to study. So if you think that, oh, I'm not going to read those because it says New Age on it somewhere, you're selling yourself short. You need to know what the Toltecs knew. They are basically direct descendants of Atlantis. And whether you believe it or follow it, it is immaterial. Why deny yourself the knowledge of what they knew? Anyway, it fits into our popular culture. It fits into why we have a Roman eagle, why we have sacrifices right now. You know, I forget where my page is now where it shows this. 239. This is Roman eagle in the Jewish Gematria. This times 3 is 717. There was 717 pilgrims died in a stampede in Mecca on the corner of, where'd it go, the clock? Is that on another page? On the corner of 322, on the corner of 322 Street is a 2. In the corner of 322 and 204 Street. 204 is London. So 3 times 239, 3 times the Roman eagle died there on that at that time. So this is not, you know, it's not like we're way off in left field here. This Roman eagle thing is pretty central now. The other thing that has to do with Roman eagle is Lupercalia. I have a video on Lupercalia. Lupercalia is the start of Rome, and it has. And if you go into that cave, there's a cave there next to the Tiber River in near Palatine Hill. Palatine Hill is on the Philae line that I discovered. You know, I'm an outsider. I'm a commoner. I'm sure the insiders know about this line, but there's a line over there, and I have videos called the Philae, with Philae in the title, about the Philae line. It has Palatine Hill on it, very important. It has CERN on it. It has the first temple of Isis. It has Stonehenge, and it has this the Paris Eiffel Tower man on it. Well, Lupercalia, there's a little cave there next to the Tiber River, next to Vatican City. And I'll just draw this little cave, but it's underground. You can't see it from the top. And it's a certain amount of yards. I've measured this from the Tiber River. This is why you see a shark. Tiber is why you see a shark in I Pet Goat 2. And this is why they have a Tyburn. I'm sorry about my writing, you guys. Tyburn. This is why we have a Tyburn River that flows underneath the courthouse. I mean the courtyard of Buckingham Palace, the mouth of the Goblin, and the Ham of Abraham. And this is why you have a Tiber Creek in Washington, D.C. It used to be named something else. This is very important, the start of Rome. Now, why would this be so important? If you go into this cave at the very top, there's a white eagle in there. Now, we do need to resist the urge to say now that all eagles are demonic and bad. Maybe, you know, just the Romans distorted this. I don't know. Maybe this Toltec eagle, even though he eats people at the end and then he bestows life again, maybe the Roman eagle, the Toltec eagle, is wishing for your freedom someday. Maybe this is how he reproduces, this idea of the emanation of the eagle. Maybe that's how he reproduces. Maybe he's rooting for you to be free someday. We don't know. However, we just need to pay attention that in the cave of Lupercalia there is an eagle at the top. And this is the start, this is the beginning of Roman religion. And what happened down there is that the twins, think Venus twins, nursed off of a wolf. And I believe they became infested with wolf parasites, because that's what happens. That's why we worm puppies after they wean and not before. They became infested with wolf parasites, which parasites in general, and I bet you wolf parasites are a crazier batch than what you get from domestic dogs, but parasites in general will make you anxious, paranoid, hierarchical, clannish, suspicious, violent, and impulsive. And these are all kind of things that you see with packs of dogs. You know, packs of dogs act differently than they do when you have one. And domestic dog parasites are probably going to be a different kind of thing than a wolf parasite. And also, today, 99% of everybody is infested. You have 6 to 7 pounds of worms in your gut, unless you are actively taking herbs that are constantly killing them. You cannot give up. You are always being reinfected. So, but most people today are not, you know, they do actually seem pretty crazy, but they're not crazy enough to kill their twin. But that's because humanity has adapted to living with parasites. So we are psychically and spiritually stronger now to be able to handle this kind of contamination. But this type of cruelty was the beginning of Rome. That was the beginning of Lupercalia, and the beginning of the Roman eagle, the 239. And I believe it was a great triumph for the worm. In my intro, I have either in my intro or my outro, I have the hieroglyph of the worm that's in the names of the pharaohs. This reminds me of the train, the 601, the Philadelphia train. Well, what if the God of hosts really does need a host, just like a worm needs a host? And if you are the ham, you are the edible slave, which means they are literally eating you. And the reason why Abraham was chosen to breed the slaves is because he showed himself to be responsive and willing to obey Yahweh, who asked for child sacrifice. And so when Abraham was willing to do that, Abraham was rewarded by being the father of the 12 tribes of Israel, because they are going to want to breed a stock of puppet, a vehicle. Okay, so this is a vehicle or a car, because this is a host. They need a host. They can't walk around on their own. They don't have opposable digits. So they are going to breed a host of primates. You know, wolves make a good host, but they don't have opposable digits. So for them, they built up in wolves, and then they jumped over to humans. This would be a great celebration, Lupercalia, a great celebration when the worms get opposable digits and they control a large group of humanity. Now, in the old days, people didn't let wolves and dogs, you know, into their houses and sleep with them, lick their children and all that. Now, since the 60s, we've been brainwashed by Disney. Disney did it. Look back, Disney did this to have dogs in your home. And as you can tell from my video, I have dogs too. I worm my dogs every month. And I am also very careful. We put Everclear in all of our hand soap, dish soap, and we also constantly are taking deworming herbs. It's just got to be a habit forever, because the whole rest of society is covered with worms. So anything you touch out in society is going to be infected. If you put that under a microscope, you're going to have little nematodes. And those things will find their way into your mouth. If you lick your finger and turn a page on your book while you're reading the bus, you got infected. If you garden, unless you dip your hands, you know, and you fully clean every little crevice, every little microscopic crevice, you're going to be reinfected. So you have to constantly take these herbs. So a car, so this equals 22. A car equals 22. And a car is a fractal idea of a parasitized vehicle. In this case, we are the parasites, and the car is being parasitized, and the car is the host. Most of the time, we are the car, we are the host. So this is why Lupercalia is important. This is why the Roman eagle is important. Lupercalia is on the fillet line. That's such an important line. If you'd like to go see those videos, I think that's really something that everybody should know about Lupercalia, this line. CERN is on it, everything about the Toltec eagle, everything about the Roman eagle, and why why we have Orion in different places. Now, I haven't looked for Orion in Mecca. Probably it's there, because there's a giant clock tower, one of the biggest clock towers there. Save the clock tower, right? Isn't that what they said over and over again? In Back to the Future, frankincense equals 911 and 329. Frankincense, gold, and myrrh adds up to 239, which is a 923. So when we see this 923 number or the 911 number, it has to do with Orion. It has to do with these gifts of the Magi. These are the perverted gifts of the Magi. We don't know if it was always intended to be dark like this, but we need to understand what they're saying to us. All right, let me think of what I was going to tell you next. Hold on. Well, there's a lot to say. I'm going to try to break it into smaller chunks. So in the next video, I'm going to talk about the 123 roundup, more things that I've learned about 123. We're going to talk about frankincense in the Jewish Gematria. Frankincense, gold, and myrrh all together. If you add them all together, it's on my computer, that's why I can't show it to you on the page, but if you add them all together, it equals 1008 in the Jewish Gematria, frankincense plus gold plus myrrh. And it also equals 239 in the simple Gematria and 1434 in the English Gematria. So this is frankincense, gold, and myrrh. So I want to talk about in the next video this 10:08 on the clock. Now we know the clock is always in here. So this is going to be, I'll just draw a little clock tower here. So this is 10:08. And this encodes the slopes of the sides of the pyramid. And that's what we're talking about here. The pyramid is going to always talk about Orion, so that all of this makes sense. And all of this starts to get us closer to fluently understanding this language that they're talking about here. This, as we've talked about, is the Roman eagle. Now, so I want to do that in a future video, this in a future video. I want to talk a little bit more about Hiram Abiff in a future video. And I would like to go into depth on the word frankincense in a future video, because we have this 11.5 that we've seen in the Economist, magazine cover, in the word franc, which is a really important word. And then the other number that we've seen there is the 11.3, which, oh gosh, I'm trying to find where I had that. Okay. Oh. Okay. Well, there's an 11.3. There's two arrows at Alice's feet, and now I can't find my other reference to show it to you. Well, anyway, I'll try to bring that to you. Just want to bring to you just this word frankincense, because we have the word franc in here. There's a lot of numbers just to see here. But look at how it says sense is it burning, like incense, and the censer that you burn incense in, and just the idea of sense. So of course frankincense would have burning in its name, because you know it's meant to burn. But we do need to realize this now. So I do want to bring this to you. This sense here, as the word burn, in the menorah gematria, the pi gematria, which is up here, this is the sign I'm using now because it's too hard to draw the whole little menorah, equals 20. 20 equals 9/11. And if you've watched my whole video, you will realize it's not crazy to back engineer this, because 9/11 is in everything. So it means burn. So this is why the Twin Towers didn't fall down from like icicles, or you know, termites, or you know, one of the other elements, air, earth, landslide, anything like that. It was fire. So I want to talk more about this and discover more about this with you. I think we're getting closer. We're digging out some more clues. I hope you like this. I've been told you I've been feeling, in my description I wrote, I've been feeling a little under the weather. I had like a migraine for a few, kind of off and on for a week, and the problem with that is it makes it so I can't look at the computer screen. So that makes it hard to edit videos, and it makes it hard to, like, you know, study anything. So that I'm feeling a little better now. All right, I hope you guys are having a good day. I hope you like this video. Talk to you soon.